Okay. Hey everybody. There we go. All right. Sorry, I'm just a little bit late. I was, well, yeah, I was downstairs and I was playing with the loom and I was digging through looking for some yarn that I need to send out, and anyway, but here I am, and today is our history of tatted lace chit chat. And let's see, before we get into that, I need to remind you that we are still in the year of self-care, and it's March, so we're in the Spring into Lightweight Projects portion, and I did make a few teeny tiny little tatted butterflies. I don't think you can see that, but teeny tiny tatted butterflies. I made a few of these. Just, I don't know, I was cleaning off some shuttles, so I made some butterflies. And I'm outside because it's lovely today, so, you know, might as well be outside, right? And anyway, I hope that you all are getting ready to do your year of self-care stuff. And hello, Ms. Kathy. Don't forget to tag us, BSFE or Black Sheep Fiber Emporium, or both, year of self-care. There's a lot of people doing a year of self-care, so make sure that you're tagging us with that BSFE or Black Sheep Fiber Emporium, or hashtagging, or you can do the actual like @ tagging so that we know that you're entering. I did pull a winner for last month, and it's Terry, Dr. Terry Co. from Instagram, and I actually know Terry, so I know all of you now though, right? Yes, you're my friends. Anyway, so make sure that you are sharing the love for the year of self-care, and yeah, make sure that you are sharing what you're working on so that you can be entered in the contest. And Cheryl, you can totally enter even if you're in Canada. We will absolutely ship a prize to Canada, so I'm just throwing that out there. Yeah, just mentioning, because we like you all, and we want you to share the love for Year of Self-Care. Don't forget that all the info is on blacksheepfiberemporium.com, but the gist of it is craft and take photos and share it. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Twitter, wherever you want to share. Just make sure that you're tagging us so that we know to go find your posts. Yeah, and every entry counts, so it doesn't matter if you post 10 times to Instagram, or 1 a day or 2 a day, if you're really that excited about it, which I would enjoy. And I had a lot of fun today looking through the entries for February's Year of Self-Care and searching all of the different social medias to see who all had participated. And anyway, so much fun. Yeah, so make sure that you're tagging us and that you're participating. And I am working on the, what am I working on? I'm working on a slow yarn crawl pattern for one of the shops that needed some help with some design work. I am working on of course, rigid heddle weaving. I've made great strides on that. I'm almost down to my last packing piece. So I'm really close to my last packing piece, and I should be into that by Wednesday, so that then the following week we can cut it off and talk about finishing. So yay for Weaving Wednesdays, right? And then I'm kind of putting something together that'll be a little bit fun for Wednesdays. I'm going to keep going with that Weaving Wednesdays theme for a little bit longer. Tomorrow I am actually starting a knit along, and it's in conjunction with the Wool and Fiber Arts Community Group, and I'm doing the Honeycomb Tea Cozy, which is just a little bitty tea cozy for your teapot. I don't know exactly which color I'm going to cast on with yet. I had thought about maybe using some Darny, but I haven't 100% decided if that's which way I want to go. So anyway, it's a fast little pattern, doesn't take a ton of yarn, and it's just something to help kind of whet your appetite for all of the fun stuff coming up this spring. Small, lightweight projects, right? Small, lightweight projects. Anyway, and then, let's see. So there's today's history of tatting, and then there's the knit along tomorrow that starts. And you can find that in our events here at Black Sheep Fiber Emporium on Facebook. Wednesday is for weaving. Friday, Tina will be on. And then the following week, we are doing the history of knitted lace. I am starting a knit along for the Blue Caterpillar Shawlette, again in conjunction with the Wool and Fiber Arts group, because the theme this year is Alice in Fiberland for March. So they're doing a whole like themed month of fun stuff. And I just happen to have the Blue Caterpillar Shawlette based on Alice in Wonderland. So yeah. We're doing the tea cozy because it's, you know, Mad Hatter's tea party this week, and then next week is the shawl. So if that delights you, please join me. And then of course more weaving and more Tina. There's just all kinds of fun stuff coming up. So let's get into my history of tatted lace. I did go ahead and grab a couple of fun things. So one of the first things that I grabbed was, of course, the Identification of Lace by Pat Earnshaw, which I was using with the bobbin lace. But she has a little chapter, or a little paragraph in here about tatted lace. So I thought I'd read it to you because it's really entertaining. And what does Kathy? I got the Shawlette pattern from Pearly Shell. Yes, absolutely. Send me a message, Kathy. Send me a message. I'm all about messages. And the other thing is, if you didn't want to do it in 5 shades of blue, you could just alternate 2 skeins. That's another thought. Anyway, sorry, we'll talk about that later. Yes, Kathy, send me a message. Okay, so tatting from Pat Earnshaw's book here. She says it certainly dates from the 18th century, so that's the 1700s, possibly earlier. And she says that it declined greatly in popularity and did not revive until about 1850. But I think that that's kind of true for all laces, that they just, you know, weren't as popular for a while. So I'm not sure why she says it about tatting. But she says that when Mademoiselle Riego published several volumes of instructions and designs and won 4 awards at the International Exhibition, that tatting suddenly became really popular again. That's important to remember. Tatting, of course, is a lark's head knot, and it's formed into rings and chains, which we've talked about, or I've talked about a lot in my videos. And you have a foundation thread. Unlike macrame, it uses only 1 knot, and the loops of thread left between the knots form picots. Also, unlike macrame, it uses a continuous thread. This is the really entertaining bit, though. Many innovations of design and technique came from Queen Marie of Romania. An expert tatter, she worked large ecclesiastical pieces and spangled them with topaz, turquoise, pearl, and crystal jewels. Subsequently, she donated them to the monastery of Sinea in the Carpathians in order, it is said, that her precious stones should not fall into the clutches of her husband's mistress. And that was the part that made me laugh, and I had to share. So, I actually have a copy of the Mademoiselle Riego de la Brancardiere, there we go, that she is talking about in that book. And I don't entirely remember how I got this copy. I know that it is, I mean, it's a copy of 1850 to 1886 books. I know that there's a little inscription in here that says that it came of a trip to England, and it used to be part of the IOLI library, but I lucked into being able to, oh, that's how I got it. Lucked into being able to buy it because Kathy had some books that she was looking to sell out of the library, that they were retiring from the library. And I ended up getting this like random photocopied copy of the Madame Riego tatting book. And tatting, of course, arises from knotting and netting. So knotting and netting are your beginning arts before tatting. Nail binding also comes before tatting, and these use needles and shuttles that are designed specifically for those functions, and they're similar to tatting needles or tatting shuttles that we use today, and yet they're different. because anytime you start, you know, really becoming enamored of a new craft, you develop tools, or you find tools that are better suited for the actions that you need to take to perform your craft, right? So there's things like tatting shuttles that have picks, tatting shuttles that have hooks, tatting shuttles that have removable bobbins, and this all arises because somebody was interested in tatting and decided that it would be, you know, a good thing to explore making new tools, right, to do tatting with. So what we see first is knotting and netting, and a lot of the paintings that you see from the like 1700s that show women, usually women, with shuttles in their hands. It's actually a netting shuttle. It's not actually a tatting shuttle. They do look different, and it's not, again, until, you know, like the 1800s really, that you start to see mention of tatting in publications. So while it may have been around for a while prior to that, it had to have been around for a while prior to that, it didn't really become popularized, it didn't become a part of our written culture until the 1800s. And the first patterns that you see are usually done with rings and bare thread spaces. And you don't really see work that's done with chains or with rickrack until a little bit later on, because, you know, everybody has to invent these things for them to happen. So at first you can make rings, you can make lots of rings, and then you can put them close together, or you can space them further apart. That's where I say the bare thread. I don't know if you can... This one looks like it has mostly rings in it. So this one looks like it has mostly rings. I don't know if you can see this. Probably really hard to see. But mostly rings right there. And then as we go along, then chains are invented. Picots become more popular. Of course, picots are really simple because it's just the space between two stitches. So that invention probably didn't take long at all. And no one knows, of course, exactly who it was that invented tatting. No one really knows. But you do see tatting used quite a bit in the 1800s. It becomes very popular because you're trying to show off your dainty little hands, and so when you're tatting, it is a way to show off your hands. Let's see, let me find one. But as we go along, of course, with tatting, then we start inventing new things. You even start seeing tatting combined with other arts. So you'll see there's some really cool doilies out there that have tatting and crochet, where they tat a bunch of picots and then they use little slip stitch chains to join the tops of all the picots together. So you get this beautiful chain-like effect that is joined to all of the picots, but in a really smooth manner. And that always throws people off because they don't understand that it is, you know, both tatting and crochet work together. Here's a couple more. Here's some fun old photos. And of course, if you're looking for more old books, whether it's for crochet or tatting or knitting, whatever, Project Gutenberg actually has a huge library where they have saved a lot of older books, and it's free to go check those out. So that's a really great resource for like old patterns where you can go like see stuff, try them out. But you will note that just as with knitting and crochet, I don't know that weaving terms have varied as much, but knitting and crochet terms have definitely varied a lot. Tatting terms have grown a lot as well, and they used to call like tatting stitches, so they'd say work 5 double stitches, which of course we still kind of use, but a lot of times we abbreviate all of that so we don't write it out. Then 1 purl loop instead of a picot, so they call it a purl loop. You know, it's just different. It's just different. So you have to understand that you may have to do a little bit of translating in order to make the patterns on the page. But I think tatting is really awesome, and in the last, I don't know, like 40 years, there have been a ton of innovations with tatting, and some of the things that I really love, I talk about when I'm talking about tatting diagrams. I love tatted diagrams because it helps me to really visualize the pattern a lot better than when it's all written out. I have a lot of trouble following the longhand versions and not making a mistake, but when it comes to diagrams, I am much more successful. So there's things like split rings where you use 2 different shuttles, and you're building your rings up both sides alternately so that you can work your way into another section without having to cut your threads, because of course nobody likes hiding ends, especially in tatting. So they're always inventing new ways to use shuttles and achieve the look that you want without having to cut and tie and put your ends in. So that's really important. And then like here's my little butterfly. This is my little butterfly pattern that I showed you earlier, but this is the little pattern that I teach all of my students, all of my beginning students, because it's just an easy little butterfly, and it only uses rings, so it's a good way to practice rings and picots. And it does have let's see, decreased and increased pico sizes. So what do I want? It has graduated pico sizes. I don't know, my brain's not working really well right now. So anyway, I love being able to have you know, the diagram versus even an abbreviated version of a pattern, because I can visualize it a lot better and I understand better how to tat it and be successful. And I still make mistakes, because you know, I'm me. I make mistakes all the time. In fact, I was discussing with some of my friends from Pearly Shell et al. Because Shannon is kind of part of Pearly Shell, but kind of not. So I was talking to them about how my weaving, my edges were kind of and part of that was because I was letting Ina help me throw the shuttle back and forth, and the cat had like come. Usually the cat stays upstairs because we have the dog out downstairs, but I'd put the dog away so she wouldn't knock Ina over. So the cat came downstairs too, and he was like trying to grab my yarn, like that I'm weaving in, that Ina's helping me with on the shuttle. So I have Ina like throwing the shuttle through, and I have the cat trying to get the yarn. And I took a phone call in the middle of all of that, and my edges are just not pretty. And I just said to them, you know, it's all about the process, right? It's not really about the product this time. It's the process. It's learning. It's becoming better. And the thing is, I know what I'm doing wrong. I can always identify what I've done wrong. It's just trying to retrain myself so I don't continue to do it incorrectly. So that's always a struggle for me, right? But Ina was really into pushing the shuttle back and forth. So I don't know, maybe someday in the future I'll end up with a floor loom again, and I think she'd really get a kick out of that. The rigid heddle, I think she could do the rigid heddle. Not yet, but you know, in a couple of years. But I don't know if she would enjoy it as much. It's really fun to throw that boat shuttle. So, yeah. See, Cheryl, you've been knitting for a long time, and hasn't knitting changed a ton? Especially since the internet became so accessible to everyone, and it became easier for designers to share ideas, and it became easier for people to write patterns. It's the same thing with tatting. You see this huge revolution, you see new ideas that are constantly being invented, that are being shared. I mean, I invented a little like circular tatting thing randomly one day that uses sort of a self-closing chain, a self-closing mock ring chain type thing, instead of having to start with a ring to make these fun circular mats of tatting. Anyway, yeah, so things happen, and they happen faster, and we can share them faster, and then people innovate faster. So we see a lot of advances in our understanding of all of our crafts and in the technology of our crafts, just simply because we can communicate so much better. And it's interesting how fast tatting has changed. I mean, really, how quickly it's changed, because bobbin lace starts, you know, the 1600s, and then we don't really see tatting until the 1850s, and you know, we'll say early 1800s, late 1700s, early 1800s, and there was a ton of innovation with bobbin lace, but that, you know, it was like 200 years after it was invented. And now we're seeing the ton of innovation with tatting. Again, partially because we can, like, you know, communicate better, and we can share ideas faster. So yeah, it's fascinating. It's totally fascinating. That's why I love the history of things too. That's why I like looking up these things. I'm so glad that I ended up with this random copy of Mademoiselle Riego's books, because it is fun to go back and read these books and see how tatting, you know, kind of got started. And these were really, really popular books of the time. These were like incredibly popular books. They were like these were the Weldon's Practical Knitter of the time. They were the books that you went to for information about tatting, which I find fascinating. And then of course we have fun new books that, like this one. I like this Elegant Tatting Gems. This one is John Yusoff, and I love the, look at this, gorgeous patterns in here. And that's part of why we sell tatting books and tatting supplies, because Kelly just loves it so much. So what can I say? Oh well, I've chit-chatted long enough for today. So next week we're going to get into the history of knitted lace, and we're going to do more weaving. Don't forget, I'll be back on Wednesday where we talk about selvages and temples and drawing in and all that good stuff. Where I can tell you about all the things I've been doing wrong so that maybe you won't do them. But you know, you'll probably experience them too, because experience is the best teacher. And don't forget to keep posting to that year of self-care, social media, Facebook, Instagram, share it with your friends, tell your family. Remember, all the info is on blacksheepfiberemporium.com. If you have questions, you can reach out to us. Yeah. We're having lots of fun with that year of self-care, and boy, it is a nice day. It's a little bit breezy out here as my hair keeps flying in my face, but it is so nice. I had Ina out today. We chased the duckies for a little bit. We threw fish food in the pond because the duckies like to eat the fish food, and Ina gets a huge kick out of that, so how can I say no? She's so cute when she asks. And anyway, and she was so excited because she got to pick up both the ducky eggs this morning. I cleaned the house yesterday, so it was nice and fluffy and clean, and the eggs were nice and clean because, you know, ducks, they're kind of dirty creatures. But today they were clean. And good news, the incubator is working. I have duck eggs that are growing, so we are going to have ducklings. We're gonna have ducklings, and I will show them. I'll show them to all of you as soon as we get ducklings. I know I've got 7 good eggs out of the 12 for sure. I'm hoping the other 5 are just a little bit slow in their development, because I had them on the cooler end of the incubator. So now I've moved them to, I think, what is the hotter end of the incubator to try to get them, you know, growing. So cross your fingers. But we're definitely going to have some ducklings to play with and have on video the end of March, beginning of April. So yay, duckies! Yay, duckies! I know, I'm so weird. I just love my duckies. What can I say? Yes, and Kathy, I love the incorporation of color so that it's not just white anymore. I love all of the color that you see coming out in knitting, crochet, tatting. You know, weaving's had it for a long time, but knitting, crochet, and tatting didn't have those colors as much, and now you really see a ton of it. And, oh, and I didn't even bring them out. Shoot. Well, Wednesday I will try to remember. Tina sent me the box, I got the box, and I have my Olympus threads. So, sometime soon, maybe, we will do a little review of the Olympus tatting threads, and I'll show you guys what they look like. Because you totally could use these for crochet or knitting as well. It just happened that they were, you know, they're meant for tatting, but I mean, honestly, most threads you can, you know, they might not be quite as ideal, but they're still useful for a lot of other things. So anyway, let's see. Yeah, so much to remember. So tomorrow I have my knit along with the little teapot. Wednesday we're doing weaving. Friday Tina will be back on from Arizona, and then we have daylight saving, so bleh. So I may end up having to move the videos back a little bit just to warn you, because I don't know what's gonna happen with Ina and her afternoon naps. So yeah, this could be hairy. We'll find out next week. Yes, we will. So we're gonna do a history of knitted lace next week. We'll take the weaving off of my loom, and we'll talk about next steps with finishing, and we'll also talk about the next project that I'm going to put on and walk through with everybody on Facebook Live. Don't forget to hit that like and follow button on our Facebook page. It's really important that you go follow your Facebook pages so that you see the notifications, because if you only like the page, you don't follow it, then you may not be seeing all the notifications. And in addition to that, you can also like and follow us on YouTube, because I do put up all the videos if you miss one from the Facebook Lives on our YouTube channel as well. I try to add some other fun videos over there when I have time. I also have the TikTok channel, so you can follow us there. I put up 1-minute videos on how to do things. Sometimes I just talk, because sometimes I just talk. And yeah, there's just all kinds of fun stuff going on. I'm trying to think. Oh, Instagram. We're also on Instagram. You can follow us there, because again, we post photos and we share things there. And the Slow Yarn Crawl is coming up, so don't forget about that. I think I have a pre-order link up now so that you can pre-order your passport if you want. I need to put one on the Black Sheep website because we are participating this year. We are a bonus shop. So yeah, it's just all kinds of stuff coming up. There's so many things. I got so many hats this year, right? So many hats. So anyway, until Wednesday when we talk about weaving again, please be safe. Take care of yourself physically, mentally, what do I say? Physically, mentally, emotionally, craftually. I like that word, craftually. Make sure that you are doing something a little bit crafty every day, even if it's just looking at some crafting books, because I really think it helps our mental health to make sure that we are expressing ourselves via craft. And yeah, until Wednesday, you know, wear your mask, wash your hands, physically distance. Don't get COVID. Please don't get COVID. It sucked. Don't get it. Yeah, and I will see you. I will see you on Wednesday again for our fun chitty chat about weaving. And hopefully I'll be outside again, because I think it's still supposed to be pretty nice. So, see you then. And, oh yes, that's right. Oh, Kathy, that's a great idea, holding the Olympus with your yarn to give it a little sparkle. I know, I can't wait to try that metallic. Okay, see you guys next time.